Let's get started because you guys are here on time and that's awesome. Um, if you don't know me, my name is Clarity and I'm a professional personal finance educator. I've been teaching personal finance in public schools for 6 years, and I had to educate myself first and foremost because I did not grow up with any kind of financial role models. My parents taught me what not to do more than they taught me best practices. So I figured out from an early age that I needed to figure out money and how to make money from the money I already had because I wasn't starting with much. I knew that a high paying career probably wasn't in my future given the fact that I wanted to be a teacher. So I knew I had to figure out all the tricks of finance and investment in order to grow my wealth, that it wasn't going to happen unless I learned these things. So I'm very excited to begin this course with you guys because I understand how it feels to think of money and finance as this like scary mathematical, crazy, advanced, exotic thing that is only for rich people or that you have to study for hours and hours in order to have any kind of success with it. And that's just not true. Believe me, I'm not that smart. I had to take college algebra like 4 times before I passed with a C. I need things to be very simple, and growing your wealth from the money you already have is actually simple. And it all starts with the right mindset, which is the focus of our class today, which is the investor mindset. How to stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like an investor. So let's get started. All right. What they should teach you in high school: how to capitalize. Free 8-week course by It's Finlit. Here's our course overview. This is week 1, the investor mindset. Next week, we're going to get into how to bank for the most free money. So types of bank accounts like IRAs, Roth IRAs, CDs, money market accounts. That's next week. Sources of passive income is week 3, so how to get your side hustle going. Week 4, credit cards and how to finesse the finessers. So basically how to trick credit card companies at their own game. Week 5, foundations of stocks and dividends. That's the really exciting stuff. I know week 5 is going to be when most people tune in because they're like, oh, I want to learn about stocks. Super important, but before you learn about stocks, it's pretty crucial to have the right mindset because, like I always say, how you behave with $1 is how you're going to behave with $1,000,000. So it's great that you guys are here for our more foundational classes because you want to have the right mindset and some other knowledge behind you before you get into stocks and dividends and dive into there. Week 6 is some more advanced stock trading called options trading. It sounds scary because it's a vocabulary word you might not know yet, but believe me, it's super simple. Week 7, foundations of real estate investment. A lot of people are interested in real estate investment because they know it's such a reliable source of passive income. And I'm going to share my experience in real estate investment with you guys in week 7 because that's how I've made the bulk of my money. I've made a significant amount with trading and stocks, but real estate investment is the core of my passive income. And I'm going to share some best practices with you guys because I saved up, bought property, and that was really the beginning of my wealth journey. Week 8, prenups, wills, and trusts. Say less. Class schedule is Sundays at 3 and Tuesdays at 10 Pacific Standard Time, 60-minute classes. So this class is a repeat of our Sunday class. I love that you guys are here on Tuesday because it's like when you teach first period, you kind of work out the kinks, and second period is where the magic really happens. So I think if I were you, I'd come on Tuesday. You guys are in the perfect place. The classes are going to be recorded for our YouTube archive. So if you're uncomfortable having your face shown or your voice heard, just contribute in the chat. But please know that if you turn on your camera or make a verbal contribution, that is going to be recorded. If that makes you uncomfortable, again, just please respond in the chat because your contributions are what make this class different and better than some kind of boring online program where you sit there and click a mouse and answer questions. The whole point of It's FinLit is for you guys to be learning in a community of like-minded individuals from a live instructor who you can ask questions to and give feedback to, because your contribution is what makes this class good and different and useful. Righty. So, important links, you guys should already have these. Bit.ly, FinLit Meet, that's where you are right now. It's the same link for every class. So next week, same link. Week after that, same link. The slide deck, bit.ly/FinLit slides. And then there's links in here to our website, Instagram, and YouTube. Okay, as we get further into the class, this table of contents will become useful to you guys. Let's say you miss week 4 and you want to go back and review what we did as you watch the video, or separate from the video on our YouTube archive. This slide will give you the table of contents where each week begins. A little bit about me. So why am I doing this? Why am I here providing this? Because it's what I have to give. I do not consider myself like a financial guru or somebody super brilliant. I am just somebody that has learned about money the hard way by not having any and then having to build it from savings, having to scrimp and save, collect a bunch of money from working at Petco, working as a stripper, working as a maid, all this bartender. I mean, what haven't I done? I don't even know. But scrimping and saving and collecting this pile of cash and then saying, what do I do with it? How do I make this grow? And through that process, I've learned what I'm going to share with you. So if at any point something is confusing or you need it repeated or you want to hit me up and ask a personal question about your finances, I'm here for you. Otherwise, what's the point of having a live instructor, man? All right. About our organization. So it's an educator-founded nonprofit, and we're not trying to make any kind of money. All we're doing is trying to make an impact on the financial literacy of everyday people so that American capitalism can be more inclusive and more stable. Because having a population who knows about money makes the economy more stable and more healthy. And you're not seeing the disastrous situation we have right now where it's like every 10 years there's a giant crash because people don't know what they're doing and the government knows people don't know what they're doing and people in finance and banking knows that people don't know what they're doing and they take advantage of us. No, we have to be too skilled to be finessed so we can be too blessed to be stressed. That's the vision of It's FinLit and what we're trying to create. Class procedures, stay on mute unless you want to respond to a discussion question. If you'd rather type your contribution or have a clarifying question or comment, please do type it in the chat at any time. Love an active chat. That's like the whole point is for you guys to contribute. Keep the chat on topic and use respectful language. I have a feeling that's going to be a lot easier for you guys than my seniors in high school or my seniors 65 plus. Okay. Week 1, the investor mindset. It's not about the money you show, but the money you grow. Let's begin with this question. Is there a difference between being poor and feeling poor, or being rich and feeling rich? Reflect on that for a second, and when you have your answer or your interpretation of this question, please type it in the chat box. So go over to your chat and enter your response. So I'm going to type the question in the chat. Is there a difference between feeling rich and being rich? Feeling poor and being poor. What is it? Now, I want to know what you guys think. So what what is the difference? Can you feel rich without actually being rich? Can you feel poor without actually being poor? Obviously, there's a connection. If you don't have money, you feel pretty poor. But in American society, we tend to feel rich when we have material things, when we have like the appearance of wealth, right? The latest phone, maybe something designer on. Not this. This is from Target. But what's the difference? Feeling rich and being rich, feeling poor and being poor. Is there a difference? What is it? Reflect for a minute and then please type your response in the chat, or you can feel free to respond verbally. Just remember that if you respond verbally or with your camera on, you will be recorded. But if that's not a problem for you, it's not. I would love that. So if it's whatever you're comfortable with, however you're comfortable responding. Is there a difference between being poor and feeling poor, being rich and feeling rich? Nat says, I can be poor with credit card debt, but feel rich because of the material possessions I have. Yeah, I know the feeling. Janet and Chris are like, yes. Yep. I mean, I know that feeling, not necessarily with credit card debt, but with student loan debt. Susan says, welcome to Laguna Niguel. Leased cars, McMansions, and hoping the gravy trains keep going. Tamu says, you can be rich without material wealth, rich in spirit, health. It's not intrinsically tied to wealth. Same with being poor. You can be poor with poor health. Yeah, that's absolutely true. What is the point of having anything material or having any money if you're not feeling the psychological and emotional benefits of that financial stability? And that's sort of the point of our little chart here. What it means to truly be rich versus poor in financial literacy theory has to do with the gap between your income and your expenses. So if as your income grows, your expenses grow too, you are never going to feel what Tamu is describing as wealth, which is the health benefits, the emotional benefits, the relationship benefits of financial stability. Because like Susan said, you're leasing your car, you're leasing your McMansion, you don't actually own anything. Everything you make is getting spent. However you are acting now with the money that you have, if you have $20 in your checking account or $2 million in your checking account, respect the potential of the money you have now. Because however you act with the money you have now is how you're going to act once you have more. So having more money, being richer, it starts with saving and then investing some of that savings once you know how comes next. So you want to make sure no matter what, the gap between your income and your expenses grows. You don't want your expenses to keep up with your income because if it does, you will never be rich. You will never have financial stability and all the health and emotional benefits that come with financial security. That's excellent. Oh, the chat is everything. The chat is everything. So we're going to focus for the rest of the class on the difference between the consumer mindset and the investor mindset. The consumer mindset is the one that we have all been raised with in this country, especially 90s kids, with all those ads on TV for all the things you never knew you needed. And it hasn't stopped now, right? Browse through Instagram. Oh my gosh, you discover a million things you didn't know you needed, but now desperately want to have. So the consumer mindset is a mind focused mostly on the present. Active income, which is working more for more money. So we're taught as little kids, right? You want money, you have to work for it, which at the beginning is true. You do need to have savings, but we're not taught that money comes from more money. We're not taught to respect the potential of the money we have now. We're just taught to come up with all kinds of ideas about what we can do with the money that we have in terms of spending. What new thing can we get with the money that we have? Not how much wealth can you grow from the wealth you already have. The consumer mindset is focused on spending, on the appearance of status, flashing, so flashing your wealth, showing it off, competition with others. That's the consumer mindset. That's the default American mindset when it comes to money. And it's led to personal and nationwide economic disaster. What is the investor mindset? That's the mindset that we want to transition into, or if you already have an investor mindset, strengthen it by adding more skills to your repertoire. A mind focused mostly on the future, on passive income, making the money you already have work for you. That's what passive income is. It's saying, okay, I have $2,000 in my savings account. I want to turn that into $4,000 without having to work additional hours. I want to do that by learning more financial skills. Saving, the reality of status, which is stashing, right? How much do you have in the bank? How much do you have invested? That's real status. Competition with yourself, not anybody else. Wherever you started from, you want to increase your financial skills. You want to be better with money than you were yesterday, more knowledgeable than you were yesterday, more confident with money than you were yesterday. No one else matters. The investor is always focused on competing with themselves, of getting better every day. It's not about other people. It's about you and your goals and how you want to feel in life because you have financial security. Okay. So rest of class is just going to focus on some tips and some questions that will help you shed that consumer mindset and replace it with an investor mindset. So the first tip is to prioritize purchases that last, not purchases that pass. And this next question, everybody's going to have a different answer because our priorities are a little bit different. You know, for me, spending a little bit more on high quality groceries to make something really delicious is a big priority because I love food. But getting my nails done, I could care less. But that might not be the way you feel. You might be that person that's cool with bringing a PB&J to a dinner with your friends, but you need to get your nails done every week because that is something you did with your mom since you were a little girl or a little boy, and that's something, it's a ritual, it means everything to you, you love it. So what are some purchases that last for you? Purchases that last, things that, you know, if you were to invest in them, spend money on them, the benefits grow. And then what are some purchases that pass, things that are nice in the moment, but you could do without? Give me some examples from your own life in the chat. So Janet says, my nails, I miss them. So Janet, are your nails a purchase that passes or a purchase that lasts for you? Like, is the effect of getting your nails done something that strengthens and invigorates you so much that it's worth it? Or does the feeling kind of pass? You get them done and you're like, well, now they're done. And in a few days, they're back to, you know, growing out and being chipped or whatever. So Janet says definitely pass. Okay, so if there's something, I break them too often. Yes. Homes, car. Tamu says, for purchases that last. Yes, and a car can be a purchase that passes or a purchase that lasts. It depends on choosing the right car, not having a car payment or insurance payment that's way too high. Yes. Jamie says purchases that last, books. Absolutely. Purchases that pass, coffee and bagel. Yeah, I know. I mean, it depends, right? Let's say you have a friend in town and there's a coffee and a bagel, you know, for you guys, and you can just chat and get coffee and have breakfast with your friend. It might be a worthwhile purchase because you're making memories. Susan says, good mattress, lasts, yes. Trendy bedspread, pass, because you know it's going to get stained. What's the point? So the idea of this question is just to figure out what purchases you're making right now that pass. They're not having any lasting effect on your happiness. They're not doing anything for you emotionally. What's the point of having financial security if you're not a happier person, right? So the whole point of financial security, of regulating your spending and saving more, is to have peace of mind and eliminating the purchases that pass, the things that we're buying that aren't really doing anything for us to make us happier. Let them pass. Save that money for things that last and can bring you enduring happiness and security, like, exercise, and maybe an exercise class if you need an instructor to get motivated. You don't want to use YouTube videos, or a good skincare cream that makes your youthful beauty last. Those things. It depends on who you are and what your priorities are, but try to eliminate purchases that don't bring you enduring happiness, where their effect is sort of temporary and doesn't last more than a day or two. If your primary hobby, what you do with your free time or family time, is scrolling or browsing, replace that with a hobby that benefits you more the more you do it. The endorphin rush of finding something you want and buying it does not compare to the life-changing happiness of self-improvement. So do you have a hobby that benefits you more the more you do it? And if you already have a hobby like that, how can you commit to it more? So I see myself, everyone around me, certainly younger people, older people, scrolling and browsing way too much. It's like when we get bored, when we get distracted, we're on our phones. And anytime you're engaging with media, it leaves you vulnerable to being a target of advertising. For you to have that moment where you're discovering something you never knew you needed. You want to limit the amount of time that you're vulnerable to being the target of advertising. And if you're spending a lot of your free time, or even an hour a day scrolling and browsing, that's going to lead to you making more purchases that pass. So let's replace our scrolling and browsing time with a hobby that makes you happier or makes you better the more you do it. So give me some examples. What are some hobbies that you guys have that you can replace scrolling and browsing time with? Things that you do where the more you do it, the more it improves your life. I'm going to start. So for me, it's weightlifting. I've made a commitment whenever I'm tempted to go and browse on my phone, I'm going to do some squats with some weights. That's my plan. Being creative. Chris, what do you mean? Nat says listening to music. So that's something that I really encourage my students to do. If you're tempted to scroll and browse, or you find yourself scrolling and browsing because you're bored or you're exhausted or your job or whatever you're doing is just too much, just put the phone down, listen to music instead, or just close your eyes and take a short nap or meditate. Usually when we go to our phones, it's because we're bored or we're tired. So if you do something that provides you with rest or provides you with a little bit of an energy jolt, like doing some squats or listening to music, it repairs your sense of being. It repairs your energy level without you being exposed to more advertising. Exercise, reading, sewing. Tamu makes the most incredible clothes, you guys. Just amazing fashion. Just absolutely incredible. I wish I knew how to do that. I guess I could learn, right? Spend time with my dog, practice an instrument, meditation videos on YouTube. Yes, absolutely. When you are feeling tired and you're like, oh, I just can't with my boss right now, or my kid, or I don't want to check email, instead of scrolling around on Instagram, try a meditation video. Or Tamu's going to try those squats, taking a walk, just tuning out, listening to music. Honestly, just lay there and stare into space, or let yourself take a little nap. I mean, don't go to your phone to ease your boredom. Don't go to your phone to replenish your energy. because it's just going to leave you vulnerable to advertising and you're going to be more tired and drained than when you started that activity. Okay, so these are in what I call investor hobbies for anyone. Investor hobbies are hobbies that improve you the more you do them. Strength building and stretching. If you don't feel like exercising, just stretch. Feeling tired at your job, like, oh my God, I just want to go on my phone and I just can't. Stretch instead. Reading, sleeping, meditating, cooking, painting, photography, writing, volunteering, all of those are free. You do not need to spend any money to do those things. I've got some links in here, starting a side hustle, learn a new skill, app making, Photoshop, basic coding. So if you go back later and click on those links, it'll give you some ideas for a new hobby that can become quite lucrative if you're learning a new skill or starting a side hustle. And I believe it's in week 3 when we get into sources of passive income. We're gonna focus on side hustles basically for that whole class. So if you're interested now and like sort of getting a head start, like, yeah, I want to learn how to build an app. I want to learn Photoshop. I want to learn basic coding. A lot of those links here in the new skill, linked to in this new skill link right here, will give you some resources for how to get started on an investor hobby that will help you build a new skill, either at low cost or no cost. You can learn basic coding and Photoshop and app making without needing to purchase expensive programs. There are also a lot of side hustles listed here that we'll get into more in week 3 that don't require any investment on your part, so for you to put any money up front. Continuing with how to develop our investor mindset and dismantle our consumer mindset. View future money as something that comes from current money, not just from future work. That is a real mental shift from how we are raised. We are raised that you work to make money. We're not raised to think that you grow money from the money you already have. My question for the class is, when you start to view money this way, what behaviors follow? So when you start to see money as something that comes from the money you already have, rather than just doing more work, saying, oh, I need more money, I better start walking dogs or driving for Uber. Oh, I need more money, I better start working longer hours or working overtime or taking up extra shifts, or I need that promotion. That's a consumer mindset, the mindset that you have to work more in order to have more money. Now, if you're flat broke or your income really isn't even covering your basic expenses and leaving you any room to save, that might be true. But most people have enough with the income they currently have to be saving and investing with that savings. So once you get it through your head that money comes from the money you already have, how would that change your behavior? If you looked at whatever you had in your bank account right now, whatever you have in your wallet, and looked at it as something that could grow and blossom into more money, if you just knew the right things to do, how does that start to change your behavior? What behaviors follow? Just take a minute to think about that. I'll go back to the slide. So when you start to view money as something that comes from current money, not just from future work, what behaviors follow? How does it change your mindset and your behavior towards money? How does it change what you do on a day-to-day basis? The way that you act, the decisions you make when you view money as something that comes from current money, not just from future work. Jamie says, I'd pay more attention to where each cent is going. Yeah, you totally do. You're like, I don't need 2 Spotify premium accounts. Why do I have 2? Because you're looking at your bank account more closely, right? You're just like really following where the money is going because you see the potential and everything. Totally. Nat, spend less. Yup. More saving, more investing, less frivolous spending. Yeah, you start to kind of get off on the endorphin rush that comes with putting money aside. I definitely do that. When I think, ooh, okay, how much money can I save if I stop doing this? How much money can I save if I make my own coffee rather than going out for coffee? How much money can I save if I don't buy any new clothes this year and just focus on getting in better shape so that the clothes I already have look better? I get off on that. I think about the dollars that are adding up and all the stocks I can buy with that, all the property I might be able to buy in the future. It feels so good. Janet says, less likely to spend my money, need the money to make more. Right, exactly. You're like, I can't spend this. I need to grow this $20 into $60. I need to grow that 60 into 1,000 on the stock market. That's what I'm going to do with it. So I can't be spending it. Yes, exactly. You guys got it. But and it seems so simple, but that mindset is so different from how we are raised. And I'm really happy that everyone here understands how that perspective can affect your behavior day to day. So think about your money right now. Think about whatever it is that you have in the bank, whatever you have in your checking, in your savings, in your wallet. Think about it as money that has the potential to grow. That in order to grow your wealth, you don't need to work more. You just need to save the money you currently have and invest it when you have the skills to do that. How to develop your investor mindset and dismantle your consumer mindset. Admire real status by following investor role models and unfollowing consumer role models. So this is something that's part of our homework for tonight. I know this is more of an issue for younger generation, but if you're following people on your personal Instagram who make you want to spend money on purchases that pass, who encourage you to just keep scrolling because you're comparing yourself to their lifestyle and you're looking at them flashing either their nice body part or their car or their fashion or whatever it is, and it's making you compare yourself to them, you are setting yourself up to make more unnecessary purchases. Unfollow people with consumer mindsets or just put them on mute. Fill your personal Instagram with investor mindsets so that every time you look at your Instagram, it's a new tip on how to save money or a new stock to buy. A word of encouragement for saving your money and appearing broke to everybody else because you don't have the latest things. Well, meanwhile, you're stashing your cash and richer than everyone who's out there flashing their stuff. Follow people with investor mindsets. Follow the news, financial news, so that every time you do look at your Instagram, it's a learning experience rather than this time where you're just bombarded by things that you want or people you're comparing yourself to. And what I would recommend that you do is just check out who we follow on our Instagram. At itsfinlit.org. That's our Instagram, at itsfinlit.org. And if you look at who we follow, incredible personal finance educators, motivational speakers, everyday people who just want to share their experience with saving money and want interaction with others and solidarity for support. Everybody that we follow is an inspiration and someone who can teach you something valuable that day. So unfollow anyone with a consumer mindset and follow people who have an investor mindset. And if you need recommendations, who It's Finlit follows on Instagram. We follow like 480 financial educators. Every time I go, even on my personal Instagram, I learn something. I get inspired to check out a new stock or a new source of passive income. I get motivation or a reminder of why it's worth it to save instead of spend. So fill your Instagram feed with people who have investor mindsets, and it will change your behavior because you're not going to be spending time with consumer brains anymore. You're silencing those voices and amplifying the voices of other financially literate people in your life. So just think to yourself, Who will you unfollow? Who is somebody that makes you jealous with the way that they flaunt either their body or their wealth or their lifestyle? Who will you unfollow? Because that person has a consumer mindset, and if you follow them, it contributes to your consumer mindset. We want to dismantle our mindset by following other investors. Refuse to be finessed by flashing, which is the appearance of status. This is a huge problem for younger generation, I've noticed. The appearance of status is so important. So anything that shows you have status, right? The latest phone, fancy clothes, being done up all the time, whatever gives the appearance of status but is not backed up by good financial habits is something that we have to unlearn to be impressed by. So we're brought up to look at people showing off their wealth. This is how the US is, right? We are encouraged to buy, and show off our quote unquote wealth by flashing. We're not encouraged in the US to be sort of humble and quiet about what we have, and show. If somebody were to look at me day to day, they would not think I was wealthy, right? I've never had a fancy car. I have never had designer clothes. I don't have the latest phone. You wouldn't know it to look at me that I have so much money stashed away. And that is challenging. It's challenging to be okay with being perceived as somebody who might be poor or might not be rich. So how will you respond when consumer mindsets shame you for doing your own nails or not having the latest phone? How will you talk to your kids about why they aren't getting that new toy? This is something I'd like you guys to respond to in the chat. So this is something we've all experienced, whether it's in school with our friends, the way people look at us when we're in public or we go out, or someone asking like, oh, where'd you get that? What brand is that? Or, oh, is that, we have a society that is so focused on praising people for the appearance of wealth, for flashing, that if you're not flashing, people assume that you're broke and you don't know what you're doing. So how are you going to respond the next time someone goes, is that an iPhone 2? Or like, girl, what is up with your nails? Did you do those yourself? Or, hey, what brand is that? Where did you get that? And you're like, oh, it's Walmart, it's Target, or I made it myself, if you're Temu. How are you going to respond when people try to bully you for not flashing? Or when people try to make fun of you for not being rich or not being wealthy because you're not flashing anything? You're not focused on the appearance of wealth. You're okay with not flashing because you're stashing. How are you going to be okay with that? What are you going to say? Unless you are paying for it, I am not buying it. Yes, Janet. Yes, exactly. If somebody's like, oh, what is that bag? Where is that from? You're like, oh, it's from Ross. Oh, okay. Oh, it's cute. I've literally said this, Janet. Good. Something that I like to say is that I literally just ask people, how much do you have in savings? That's something I like to ask. Because, I mean, when you tell people that you're a financial educator, everyone looks at you like they're expecting to see all this evidence of wealth all over the place, right? Or they come to my house and they're like, why does she have an old TV? Or why is all her furniture from Craigslist? Or, like people get a little bit suspicious. Like, does she really know what she's talking about? She should be dripping in gold. And I just say, how much do you have in savings? How much do you have? That's the question. As the child of a single mother, I've always lived that way. I learned pretty quickly that the people who don't judge me by my material possessions are the ones I want around. I'm happy without whatever it is. Jamie, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's fantastic. When asked by a dear one if we were poor, I responded that we own what we have. That's strong. That's really strong. That's really strong. Um, I I think it's important to practice these little quips, these comebacks, because we will be in situations, especially as we start to build wealth, we will be in situations where people go, "Oh yeah, you've been learning about investing, you've been building wealth." And they look at you like, "Then why aren't you dripping then? Like what's up with your old ass car?" And it's important to come back with a response, to know what to say, and to kind of get that other person thinking, like, maybe I don't have the right idea about what wealth is. Maybe it's not about what you flash. Maybe it is about what you stash. So you can reinforce your own convictions about being frugal and investment, and share some of that knowledge by challenging those consumer mindsets that might come at you. And it sounds like a lot of you all guys are used to that, to responding to that, and that's super valuable. And the more money you make, the more you save and put away and invest and grow, people expect you to come out with a brand new car and a brand new bag and all this stuff. And when that stuff doesn't come out, they get a little bit mean. It's like they get a little bit bullyish. And you want to expect that. And it's going to come, it's going to happen. And you just have to come back with the reality of status, which is how much you have in the bank, how much do you have invested. If you stopped working right now, how long could you be free of the burden of work and not have to worry about it? And I put 50 Cent on this slide for one reason. He is a brilliant businessman. He came up with Vitamin Water, which is one of the most successful beverage companies ever, but he went broke because his income and his expenses grew at the same rate. So just because you are a brilliant businessman or woman does not mean that you have financial security. There are so many people out there who are brilliant business people, like 50 Cent, but because they are so concerned with the appearance of wealth, because they're so concerned with flashing and making all these purchases that show off how much they have, doesn't matter that they're brilliant at making money, it all goes out the window. So we've got a little bit of homework, nothing too intense. Follow investor mindsets, stashers, and unfollow consumer mindsets, flashers on social media. Spend your free time doing something that improves your life. No purchases that pass. And practice defending your investor mindset against consumer mindsets trying to drag you down with them. That's our homework. And if you can only do one of these things, hey, that's great. I want to take a couple minutes to show you some of the investor mindsets that It's Finlit follows. Let's get on Instagram. Now, can everybody see my screen? I want to make sure that you can. Share it. Yeah, this seems like it's working. Okay, if you can't see my screen, let me know. So this is my personal Insta, but I'm just going to go on to the It's Finlit Instagram and show you some of my favorite financially literate influencers to follow. Now, the people that It's Finlit follows are really the ones who have taught me everything I know. And there's hundreds of people in this list, but if you follow the little blue and white check mark, so follow those people first. Ernestine Johnson Morrison, so she's an excellent financial educator and real estate investor. John David Washington. There's hundreds of examples in here. So if you look at your feed at any given time, you should just be inundated with the advice of other people who have investor mindsets instead of inundated with opportunities to make more useless purchases. So, Tiffany Aliche is someone I would really recommend following. She's probably one of the most famous financial educators, and a lot of our program is, inspired by her core values. Her first core value is just being frugal and saving, and I've been following her career for years and years, and she's taught me so much about how to have the right mindset around money. She's also just an excellent speaker, inspirational person. We're actually hopefully going to be working with her as a paid contributor to our own programs. She offers financial literacy programs that cost, I think it's $50 for the program. Patrice Washington, she writes about investment and finance in a way that's just really clear, and she just understands that finance doesn't have to be a complicated thing only for rich people. So she's really probably my favorite financial literacy communicator. Anyway, all these examples, so many incredible resources out there that can transform your social media experience into one where you are really learning. Candace Payne, also amazing. So just check it out, scroll through, and change your feed, change your Instagram, and it has a big effect. So, it's still on the Google presentation. Crap, I'm so sorry, you guys. So you can't see this? This is not... okay, sorry. Can we see it now? Sorry, you guys. I shouldn't have gone on like that before checking. Okay, you can see it now that I'm back. All right. So I'm just going on to who I follow on It's Fin Lit, and maybe you were following along on your own tab. But there are just so many great examples in here. I have, I had no one to teach me about this stuff. I didn't learn it in school. I didn't learn it from my family. So social media, pretty much from the beginning, from the days of Facebook, has been the way that I have found my role models in wealth building and learned. I mean, it's all out there. All these people are there for you and really interested in your growth and success. So, homework for tonight: transform your Instagram or any social media page that you use into a place where you can get a financial education every time you scroll, rather than being inundated with targeted ads and consumer mindsets and people that just make you feel insecure, or like what you have or what you're flashing isn't enough. I'm sorry about the Instagram there, you guys. I'll work out the kinks and get better at the whole video thing. So, any questions? I want to leave the last 5 minutes here for questions about me, questions about the class, questions about what we learned today, additional resources, anything, questions about next week, whatever you guys want to ask. We're here for it in the last 5 minutes if there's anything that you'd like to bring up. This is what I do to my students. I just wait. And sometimes it's real awkward for a whole 5 minutes. No one asks any questions. But any questions about future classes, I'll get back on the slides here and go to our So this is the course overview again. Week 1, we covered the investor mindset. Next week is how to bank for the most free money. So any questions about upcoming classes, about our schedule, anything at all? Is this video available on your site or just the slides? Yes, so I'm recording this today and I'm gonna upload it to our YouTube archive so that I think every Tuesday class I'm gonna record. So every Tuesday I'm recording class, uploading it to the YouTube archive. So let's say you miss a week, you can go back and check the YouTube archive. Because I know it's not always easy to, or not always possible to make it in person. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I just want to thank you for being here, and I want you to know that your interaction with the course, your responses to the questions and to each other in the chat is everything. And I know a lot about how the human brain works in terms of the way that we learn. I had to learn that to become a teacher, and the main thing is the human brain learns through social engagement. So just by typing out your responses, reading what other people have to say, recognizing this class as a form of social interaction and being in it, you're absorbing this information so much better. And so you guys have done yourselves a huge favor and done me a huge favor by being here. Every time I teach, I learn something new. And I really, really, really thank you for your contributions, because every time, every class, students come up with responses and perspectives that I would never expect. Your contributions are what make this class different and worthwhile. So thank you so much for being here. Susan says, thank you. I'll recommend this to my New York nephews. Yep, New York nephews. I've got New York nephews. They need to attend. If you have New York nephews, make them attend. All right, guys, thank you very much. If you have any questions, clarity@itsfinlit.org. It's Finlit. Is it itsfinlit.com? Hold on. Let me see. Forget my work email. Let's see. Yeah, it's clarity@itsfinlit.org is my email in this organization. So if you have any follow-up questions, let me know, or you want to wrap your head around what we're doing next week, any financial day-to-day advice, you get a weird letter in the mail that's financially related, you don't understand it, you want my advice on what it means, or you're looking into doing something new financially this week and you want some help, I'm here for it. I'm here for it all the time. All right. Bye, guys. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you next week. Hopefully I'll talk to you before that if there's anything else that you need from me.
Thank you.
No, you're so welcome. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome, honey.